righty, folks. Week 3 of the Texas high school football season kicks off hours from now. Mere minutes, if you think about it. Seconds from now. Including huge games on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. There are like 20 of them. It's a big Thursday slate on Texan Live.
I believe so.
Yeah, it's big Thursday slate, so make sure you go check that out. But of these 700-ish games across the state of Texas, I have narrowed it down to the top 10 Texas high school football games of the week, starting with number 10, Longview and South Oak Cliff. That's how good a week it is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Longview and South Oak Cliff starts at number 10. And if you remember, it was last year that South Oak Cliff went out to Lobo Stadium and knocked off Longview. Now, Longview returns. Now, we've talked a lot about how Longview is without their head coach, John King, who is going through a medical procedure. We wish him all the best. It will be Oscar Wilson on the sideline taking over for that program. Now, Longview beat Marshall last week. I wouldn't say they beat them resoundingly or they looked fantastic doing it, but they got the win. They stacked in the left-hand column. Mason Washington, their running back, I thought stepped up. Johnny Hamilton, their quarterback, I think needs to have a big game. For South Oak Cliff, this is the next and the final step in their non-district gauntlet. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is probably the last time we're talking about a South Oak Cliff game until like the second or third round of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So by South Oak Cliff for 3 months, all that is to say, if they can pull off this win and they go into district play with wins over North Shore and Longview and a 1-score loss at Duncanville, I think I know who will be number 1. Mm-hmm. Want to see what LaVon Morton does. He will be the tip of the spear there. Quarterback Jaden Williams has stepped up in a big way. Fascinating game there at Kincaid Stadium tomorrow night. Number 9, Winsboro and Honeygrove. Fabulous small school matchup here. They're in Honeygrove, America.
I think Mallory's going to go out to that one.
This is a huge, huge game. I think this is true strength on strength. You have the Winsboro offense, which has been electrifying, averaging more than 63 points per game. With Camden Capehart, their star wide receiver.
He's on my team builder. Not this week, but
who has been unbelievable. Going up against a Honeygrove defense, excuse me, got a frog in my throat, that has looked spectacular to start the year, and they're starting to get Rylan Morris cooking offensively. This is a really intriguing matchup. It is 2A versus 3A, which I think makes this all the more interesting. Can Honeygrove punch up and get a real win? Strength on strength matchup there. That Winsboro offense against the Honeygrove defense is box office stuff. And by the way, here's a tease. Friday night, 10:30 p.m., Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. What, the winning coach live on our air.
Let's go.
How's that for a tease? Number 8, Poth and Shiner. Let's go south.
Yes.
Let's go south. And let's hit some people. You want to talk about a physical ball game. I'm fascinated by Shiner. They've got 2 really nice wins over 3A competition in Hallettsville and Rice Consolidated. They have looked the part. They are, of course, they played for a state championship a year ago. Guys like Tristan Vesely have come back. I think that Jarvis Williams, their sophomore quarterback, they don't ask him to do a ton, but I think he's been really, really rock solid. They've got a Clayton Fritz. Whenever they have that guy, they're going to be significantly improved. They are punching way up here, okay? Because remember, this is a 2A Division II Shiner team that played for the 2A Division II, playing a 3A team, a 3A Division II in Poth, and a good one. 2-0. They beat Jordanton in week 1. They mollywopped their rival Fall City last week. I want to see what this Poth defense does against Shiner. Can they slow them down? And more importantly, on the other side, can the Shiner defense, which has been so good so far to start the year, can they put a cap on Major Luna, who has been so good for Poth to start the year, their quarterback? Fabulous ball game down south, this game in Shiner, America. Number 7, Davenport and Piper in a terrific San Antonio area clash. These are, I think it's important to remember, these are 2 of the younger programs in San Antonio. The greater San Antonio area, I should say. Davenport, still very young, but they are playing spectacular football right now. 2-0. Offense has been on another planet. Barrett Fallon, their running back, 10 touchdowns through 2 weeks. They got a sophomore quarterback in Tristan Torres, who I think has really stepped up. By the way, Barrett Fallon, 11 touchdowns. He's also got a receiving touchdown. Their offense is humming. Piper's hard to figure out. And in fact, I believe Carter Yates wrote about them in his piece about Jekyll and Hyde teams that's on TexasFootball.com right now. They've got a great win over Bernie in the opener, and then they go and they lose to San Antonio Johnson. This week, we will get a better feel for where Piper is. And I want to see especially their defense, can the offense find some consistency, especially, they've kind of bounced between two different quarterbacks with Tyler Lacombe and Isaiah Gayton, where they go with that. I'm interested to see what this offense looks like going up against what has been a very good Davenport defense. Number 6, Bridgeland and Fort Bend Ridgepoint. We're going to talk with the head coach of the Ridgepoint Panthers, Rick LaFavor's coming up here in a minute. Just a game you can watch live, free on YouTube, on our YouTube page tonight. It's our Rising Game of the Week. Greg Powers, Carter Yates, Gavin Moritz on the call. This might be the best overall game in Houston this week, with the exception of another one, but that's Houston versus Houston, I should say.
Correct.
Perhaps that. Bridgeland, I think last week was really impressive over Katy Tompkins. We haven't talked enough about that. Tyler Beagle, their quarterback, was great. Cash Schwab had 3 rushing touchdowns. Cash Schwab. They looked really, really good. Had a pick 6 defensively. They looked complete. Ridgepoint played with their food a little bit against Fulshire, but then ended up pulling away for a 34-10 win. Aiden Akins, their running back, was really a key in there. DJ Darling, their quarterback's great. This team is loaded. I think there's an argument to be made that this is the single most prospect-laden team in Texas high school football.
Ridgepoint's insane.
They're loaded. Can they put it all together? If they go out there and they beat up on Bridgeland, then I think it's really time to start paying attention to them as a serious, serious state championship contender. And on the other side, if you're Bridgeland and you go and you get a Thursday night win against Ridgepoint, I think that you got the winner of this game. I'm going to look at really differently. I'll just say that. A lot of stakes in that way. Number 5, back down south to the coast, Edna versus Refugio. So Edna's in a weird spot. Edna has a win in week 1 over a team I can't find right now in Vanderbilt Industrial. Dominated them. No-nos. 46-2. Crushed them. They follow that up by kind of getting steamrolled by Bay City, but Bay City's 4A, so I don't want to go too crazy about them. I think overall, I don't know. It's hard to get a read on where Edna is. Well, here's Refugio, a team we have ranked number 1 in 2A Division 1. And with all due respect to Cotulla and Corpus Christi London, this is their first big test of the year. We will find out a ton about them. And so far, so good. Defenses look spectacular. The running game has really gotten going. Xander Willis, their running back, Xander Wills, has been terrific. Ray Lewis. This team is loaded. They're the number 1 team in 2A Division 1 for a reason. Now, it gets turned up because they're punching up to a 3A team and a good 3A team. We'll find out a lot about both these teams and their trajectory after tomorrow night's game. Number 4, Strawn and Gordon, rivalry renewed. One of the great rivalries in 6-man football is renewed. And by the way, it is a top 10 clash. Now, these two teams are no longer in the same district because I believe Strawn has dropped down to Division 2 and Gordon is Division 1, so they're kind of growing apart. We've talked at length about Gordon. They're about to head into their 2 11-man games, so that's fascinating. But they will get a big test this week against a Strawn team that's 2-0, and we thought they were going to be pretty good. This is a Strawn team that brought back every letterman from last year's team. This was a playoff team a year ago, and they bring back everyone. Michael Barcenas, Casey Nunez. Dwayne Lee's team is loaded with experience. It's also a rivalry game. The game's in Strawn. You know they would love to end that long winning streak. Massive game there. A lot to learn about both these teams in 6-man football. Strawn and Gordon. Number 3, Gunner and Salina. So this is a matchup of defending state champs, and I probably just don't need to sell you on it any farther than there. You have the 3-time defending 3A Division 2 state champs in Gunner, who have looked every bit the part of the team to beat in 3A Division 2. They win in week 1 on the road at a good Houston Kincaid team, a private school team. And then they played Prosper Richland last week, and the game, I think got at or near halftime, and they were up like 21-0 at the end of the first. It's hard to pull anything from it. But Knox Gage, their new quarterback, has been great. They are punching way, way, way up in this one to 4A Division I, and the number one team in 4A Division I, the Salina Bobcats, who have looked pretty good. Last week against La Vega, I had my doubts, but boy, they showed out in a huge way. And especially what they were able to do in the trenches and defensively. We talk a lot about Bo Bentley, and he's awesome. I think Salina's fate is going to be determined how well they perform in the trenches. Salina's a big favorite in this one because they are just the bigger team. But not often you get to see defending state champs toe up to one another. Number 2, Port Neches Groves and LaPorte. Tasty affair. The biggest game in Bulldog Stadium history. I think it's the second game in Bulldog Stadium history. At least a new one. And it'll be a madhouse. I think the atmosphere here might be the best in Texas high school football this weekend. It's going to be crowded. Connor Bailey for Port Neches Groves has made that step. He has made that leap as the next big thing. Been razor sharp. But more importantly for them, more importantly for Port Neches Groves, the defense, which we had questions about because they graduated really heavy. The defense looks like a Jeff Joseph defense. And I mean that as the high compliment that it is. Going up against LaPorte, who the running game has been ridiculous. Sean Simon, Ashton Ruffin, the running game has been ridiculous. And the defense has punched up to 2 6A programs and made plays when it matters most. This is a whopper game. 5AD1 LaPorte, 5AD2 Port Neches Groves in front of an asylum of people at Bulldog Stadium. Huge game, LaPorte and Port Neches Groves. It's the number 2 game of the week. Number 1, Westlake and Atascocita live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. That's right. Tomorrow night, live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live at Turner Stadium. Atascocita's been a runaway freight train, and specifically Carday Mack has been a runaway freight train. 880 yards and 12 total touchdowns in 2 weeks. And they have been spectacular. What they did last week to Katy, I think, should not be understated. Going up against an Atascocita team, a Westlake team, that week 1 they lose to Prosper in a neutral site affair. Then they go down to San Benito and they overmatch San Benito. Now they got to get back on the road. After driving to the Valley, they get back on the road and drive 180 miles to Houston. I think there's a huge test for the Westlake defense, which is, of course, coached by Tony Salazar, who's one of the best defensive minds in Texas. I think there's a huge test for the Atascocita defense going up against Reese Wise, who is probably the single best offensive weapon they face this year. This is a huge game. We'll learn a ton. There's a chance that these two teams are both in 6A Division I. Ton to learn in this one. In this cross-regional matchup, live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. It's Westlake and Atascocita. It's my number 1 game of the week.